Jim Farley, Chief Executive Officer of Ford Motor Company, stood before investors in January 2026 and made an admission that should terrify every truck owner in America. He announced that Ford dealerships had 6,000 empty service bays, not because business was slow, because there were no mechanics to fill them. The average wait time to get your Ford serviced at a dealership is 2 weeks. Not because they do not have parts, because they do not have the people who know how to install them. This is not an accident. This is by design. My name does not matter. What matters is that I have spent 30 years watching the truck industry transform from a trade built on skill into a subscription service controlled by corporate servers in Detroit. And today, I am going to show you exactly how they killed the mechanic, why they did it, and what it means for your truck sitting in your driveway right now. The number that should keep you awake at night is 642,000. That is how many automotive technicians America will be short by the end of this year, according to TechForce Foundation. We need 76,000 new mechanics every single year just to replace the ones retiring. We are getting a fraction of that. But here is the part they do not tell you in the news stories about the skills gap. The gap is not just about young people not wanting to turn wrenches. It is about young people looking at the math and realizing the math does not work anymore. Let me explain. In 1995, a kid out of high school could buy a basic tool set for $2,000, get a job at a local garage, and learn the trade by doing. The barrier to entry was a strong back and a willingness to get your hands dirty. Within 5 years, that kid could open his own shop. Today, that same kid needs to invest over $10,000 in professional diagnostic equipment before he can even read a check engine light on a 2024 truck. Then he needs a subscription to the manufacturer's software, Ford's FDRS system. They just raised the 2-day access fee from $50 to $120. Annual subscription runs around $2,000. That's for one brand. If your shop works on Ford, General Motors, and Ram, you're looking at $6,000 to $8,000 per year just to rent the permission to diagnose vehicles. And the scan tool manufacturers know they have you trapped. Snap-on charges $12,000 for their professional scanner. The updates cost even more than Autel's $500 to $600 per year. Your neighbor's mechanic running a 2-bay shop cannot compete. But here's where it gets sinister. Starting in 2020, General Motors began rolling out something called Global B architecture. You might have heard it called VIP, Vehicle Intelligence Platform. It sounds innocent. It is not. Global B means that every electronic module in your truck, your engine computer, your transmission controller, your body control module, even your headlight controller, now communicates through encrypted channels. These modules do not just talk to each other. They authenticate each other using digital certificates, similar to the security on online banking. Why does this matter? Because you can no longer buy a part from a junkyard and bolt it in. Your buddy wrecks his 2022 Silverado. Perfect, you think. His transmission is fine, and yours just died. Same truck, same year, same part number. You pull it, install it, turn the key. Nothing. The truck will not start. The transmission computer is still married to your buddy's vehicle identification number. Until a dealer connects to General Motors servers and performs a vehicle identification relearn, that transmission is a 2,000-pound paperweight. They call this VIN-locking. They tell you it is for security to prevent stolen parts from being used. What it actually does is kill the secondary parts market. No more junkyard saves, no more shade tree mechanics keeping old trucks running with recycled components. Every major repair now requires a pilgrimage to the dealer, a digital handshake with a server in Detroit, and a credit card. The same system exists on Ford. Try replacing a headlight assembly on a 2021 F-150. Not the bulb, the headlight assembly. Forum posts are filled with stories of owners waiting 3 weeks at dealerships because the new headlight module needed to be programmed to the truck. One owner reported the dealer charged him for a new key fob just to program a replacement body control module for a headlight issue. A headlight. Your grandfather changed headlight bulbs in his garage in 15 minutes. Your son will need a dealer appointment and proprietary software just to see the road at night. And this is where the death spiral accelerates. Fewer independent mechanics means more work pushed to dealerships. More work at dealerships means longer wait times. Longer wait times mean frustrated customers. Frustrated customers mean technicians getting yelled at for problems they did not create. Frustrated technicians quit. The average turnover rate for dealership technicians is over 16%. At understaffed facilities, it jumps to 18%. Why would a young person enter this field? The average dealership technician makes about $61,000 per year. Sounds decent until you realize these jobs require continuous education to keep up with new systems, personal investment in tools that can run into the tens of thousands, physical labor that destroys your body, and flat-rate pay structures that punish you for problems that take longer than the computer says they should. That brake job, the system says, takes 0.8 hours. It actually takes 45 minutes just to figure out how to put the truck in service mode to disable the electronic parking brake before you can even touch the caliper. The tech gets paid for 0.8 hours. The rest is free labor. One mechanic on an automotive forum put it plainly. Being a tech is a horrible job. Long hours, hard on your body. You have to buy your own tools. You work under wet vehicles all winter. The flat rate pay has not kept up with inflation. And now software updates can take hours while you stand there watching a progress bar, getting paid nothing. The TechForce Foundation found that 62% of new diesel technicians enter the field with no formal training. Each one requires an average of 357 hours and over $8,000 in wages before they are useful. Dealerships and large fleets have the resources to train. Independent shops do not. So the independent shops close. The mechanics who served your community for decades lock their doors, and the only option left is the dealer, which is exactly what the manufacturers wanted. The National Automobile Dealers Association reported that in the first half of 2025, franchise dealerships wrote over 137 million repair orders. Service and parts revenue exceeded $81 billion. Service departments are not just profit centers anymore. They are the profit center. New vehicle margins have collapsed. The money is in keeping you coming back for repairs that only they can perform. This is why they fight right to repair laws with everything they have. Fight. In 2020, Massachusetts voters passed Question 1 by an overwhelming margin. 86% said yes. They wanted access to their vehicle's telematics data. The information transmitted wirelessly from the truck to the manufacturer. They wanted to choose who fixed their vehicles. The automakers sued. The case dragged on for 4 years. Judge after judge delayed ruling. The manufacturers argued that opening access would create security vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, they were happy to sell that same data to insurance companies and marketing firms. Security. In November 2023, Maine voters passed an almost identical measure. The automakers sued again. A working group was formed. Studies were commissioned. Years passed. The average truck owner in Maine still can't give their independent mechanic full access to their vehicle's diagnostic data. Diagnostic. In February 2025, a federal judge finally ruled in favor of Massachusetts. The automaker's lawsuit was dismissed. But by then, the damage was done. Kia had already disabled telematics entirely in Massachusetts models rather than share the data. They chose to give their customers less functionality than to give independent shops access. Some manufacturers disabled certain features entirely rather than comply with a law that 86% of voters supported. This is not about repair, this is about control, and it's going to get worse. In October 2025, General Motors announced the next evolution beyond Global B. They are calling it Centralized Computing Platform. Instead of multiple computers talking to each other, one central brain will control everything: propulsion, steering, infotainment, safety systems, all managed by a single unit processing data in real time. General Motors promises this will enable 35 times more AI computing power, a 1,000-fold increase in bandwidth, and 10 times more frequent over-the-air updates. They describe it as giving the vehicle AI-enhanced intelligence. What they do not mention is what this means for the guy with a socket set and a code reader. With over-the-air updates, the manufacturer can change your truck while you sleep. Did you install a performance tune? The next update might detect the modification and restore factory settings. Did you delete the DEF system? The manufacturer could theoretically remotely disable your vehicle for non-compliance with emission standards. Did you install an aftermarket part? The central computer might refuse to recognize it. Your truck will ask permission from a server before it starts. And if that server decides you have violated the terms of service, if the manufacturer decides your VIN should be flagged, your $60,000 truck becomes a sculpture in your driveway. The generation that could rebuild an engine in their garage is dying. The generation that might have replaced them is doing rideshare gigs and warehouse work instead. The generation after that will not even know what a carburetor was, and the manufacturers are counting on it. Here is what they do not want you to understand. Every truck built before 2020 is a rebellion. Every mechanic still running an independent shop is a resistance fighter. Every parts store still stocking components for pre-VIP vehicles is keeping hope alive. The trucks that do not need permission to run, the trucks built before Global B and FDRS and centralized computing, the trucks with OBD 2 ports that any scan tool can read, and mechanical systems that any competent mechanic can fix, these are the last vehicles built for the owner. My recommendation is simple. If you have a good mechanic, pay him well. Refer everyone you know. Help him stay in business because when he is gone, he is not being replaced. If you have a truck built before 2020 that runs well, maintain it religiously. That truck represents something the new ones do not. It represents your right to own what you paid for. The death of the truck mechanic is not a labor shortage. It is a murder, committed slowly over 20 years, using software licenses and encrypted modules as weapons. And unless we fight back, the next generation will not even know what was taken from them. Keep your old trucks running. Support your local shops. And remember what a truck used to mean. It meant freedom. Now it means a subscription.